Mother Goose, of course, but it's me asking you to get ready for the hometown band. Let's go! Do you have your pots and pans?
Yes, we have our pots and pans.
Do you have the shakers too?
Yes, we have the shakers too.
Do you have a homemade kazoo?
Yes, we have a homemade kazoo.
Do we have the drummers too?
Yes, we have the drummers too.
Do we have some jingle bells?
Yes, we have some jingle bells.
Do you have a cowbell too?
Yes, we have a cowbell too.
Pots and pans?
Pots and pans.
Shakers too?
Shakers too.
Homemade kazoo?
Homemade kazoo.
Drummers too?
Drummers too.
Jingle bells?
Jingle bells.
Cowbell too?
Cowbell too.
Oh! Follow me and play along! Pots and pans? Shakers too? Homemade kazoo? Drummers too? Jingle bells? Cowbell too? Pots and pans? Shakers too? Homemade kazoo? Drummers too? Jingle bells? Cowbell too? Oh, well, follow me and march along!
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. La 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 la. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. La 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 la.
Ride a cock horse to Banbury Cross to see a fine lady upon a fine horse. Rings on her fingers and bells on her toes, so she shall have music wherever she goes. Ride a cock horse. Sure, you all know it. But just what is the story behind it? It seems that in the town of Banbury, England, there stood a very elaborate cross made of stone in the marketplace. Leading into the town was a very steep hill, and in order for any coach to get to the town of Banbury, they first had to stop at the bottom of the hill to add another very strong horse to help pull the coach up the hill. This high-spirited horse was always gaily decorated and was called the cock horse, and the townspeople were very proud of it. One day, so the saying goes, the Queen was paying a visit to the Banbury Cross. She wore a beautiful gown, had on lots of jewelry, and, as was customary for ladies of great wealth in those days, had bells on the toes of her shoes. At the bottom of the hill, they put on the extra cock horse. But before very long, the coach lost a wheel. The Queen, not to disappoint the townspeople of Banbury, climbed down from the broken coach and mounted the beribboned cock horse, then rode into Banbury to see the cross on a fine horse, with rings on her fingers and bells on her toes, and the town musicians played lively music to welcome their Queen. Ride a cock horse to Banbury Cross to see a fine lady upon a fine horse. Rings on her fingers and bells on her toes, so she shall have music wherever she goes. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Poor old Humpty Dumpty. Broken egg yolk all over the place. But stop a moment. Does it make much sense to you that an egg would be sitting on a wall? And why would the king's men even try to put him back together? Most rhymes of long ago we find made reference to something else. In this case, Humpty Dumpty, also a term for describing rather fat people, referred to King Richard III of England, who was a rather pudgy gentleman. During the Battle of Bosworth, in the year 1485, he was perched upon a high hill, directing his soldiers, when, unfortunately, the poor fellow was killed. Of course, we all know that nothing his men could do would bring him back to life. But now, if you read the rhyme over again, you'll find it makes quite a bit of sense. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Along with making sense, there was really a lot of nonsense back in Mother Goose's day. We all know the tongue twister, Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers, but not all of us can say it. Can you? Now here's another one, still used today as an aid in speech classes. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter will make my batter better. So she bought a bit of butter, better than her bitter butter, and she put it in her batter, and the batter was not bitter. So 'twas better Betty Botter bought a bit of better butter. Little Tom Tucker sings for his supper. What shall we give him? White bread and butter. How can he cut it without e'er a knife? How can he marry without e'er a wife? This is a rather sad story, as it takes place in the Europe of many, many years ago, when children who had lost their parents were not provided for as they are today. People then seemed to be too busy with their own problems to bother to think of others less fortunate than they. Little children with no mother or father actually had to beg on the streets for food to eat. Those who were lucky enough to possess a voice were able to sing songs underneath the windows of the wealthy houses, holding up a basket or a hat in hopes that some morsel of food would be tossed to them from above. These children became known as Tom Tuckers. Some possessed such fine voices that they became famous, and it became the custom, which we still carry out today, especially at holiday time, to share our food with those less fortunate than we. Little Tom Tucker sings for his supper. What shall we give him? White bread and butter. How can he cut it without e'er a knife? How can he marry without e'er a wife? Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. This is the best-known lullaby both in England and America, but it is generally felt that this one originated in America. The story has been handed down that a young pilgrim boy who came over on the Mayflower became very friendly with a certain Indian family. He noticed that they made a cradle for their little baby out of birch bark strips sewed together with leather thongs. They didn't have rockers as we know them, so the mother would hang the cradle from a branch in a tree, and the blowing wind would rock the cradle to and fro. The Pilgrim Boy became so intrigued by this that it apparently inspired him to write a song about it. And that's the same Rockabye Baby we still sing today. Rockabye baby on the treetop, when the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. Let's try some riddles from long ago. They're very different from ours of today. Here's one. Black I am and much admired. Men may seek me till they're tired. I weary horse and comfort man. Tell me this riddle if you can. Do you know the answer? It's coal. Here's another. Formed long ago, yet made today, employed while others sleep, what few would like to give away, nor any wish to keep. Find the answer? It's a bed. Dance to your daddy, my little laddie. Dance to your daddy, my little lamb. You shall have a fishy on a silver dishy. You shall have a fishy when the boat comes in. Dance to your daddy, my little laddie. Dance to your daddy, my little lamb. The story here originated in Holland, where so many of the men earn their living by going out every day in rather small boats to catch fish in a big net, which they bring back at the end of the day to sell at the local fish markets. Naturally, most of them have families, and they bid them a merry goodbye in the morning. Toward dusk, however, the wives and children begin to gather down at the waterfront to wait for the small boats to come into sight, and each wife hopes to see her husband's boat, praying that no accident has befallen him during the day. Those with small babies usually sang to them, or played some kind of game to keep the youngsters entertained while waiting for the sight of Daddy's boat. And this song came down through the ages, sung by a mother, dandling her baby on her knee, while keeping one eye on the distant horizon. Dance to your daddy, my little laddie. Dance to your daddy, my little lamb. You shall have a fishy on a silver dishy. You shall have a fishy when the boat comes in. Dance to your daddy, my little laddie. Dance to your daddy, my little lamb. Dr. Foster went to Gloucester in a shower of rain. He stepped in a puddle right up to his middle and never went there again. The reigning monarchs of old were the subject of many cartoons and rhymes, in much the same way as our political figures are today. But the poet of long ago didn't dare actually come right out and use the king's name, or he might find himself very suddenly behind bars. Dr. Foster, in this case, referred to King Edward I. I suppose the name Foster was used simply because it rhymed so well with Gloucester. However, King Edward arrived on a visit to Gloucester in the middle of a terrible rainstorm. His horse fell and got completely stuck in a huge mud puddle in the middle of the street. It took the townspeople quite a while, but with the use of planks, they were finally able to get the king and his horse out of the muck. But they were both a sorry sight, covered from head to toe with gooey mud. The king got so mad over the incident that he flatly refused ever to visit the city again. Dr. Foster went to Gloucester in a shower of rain. He stepped in a puddle right up to his middle and never went there again. Georgie, Porgy, Puddin' and Pie kissed the girls and made them cry when the boys came out to play. Georgie Porgy ran away.